to Wallaton. It is time for another edition of Kitchen Science, where I get to combine two of my favorite things, my kitchen and science. And today is going to be super fun because we are doing one of my favorite demonstrations. We are doing milk painting today, and it's every bit as magical as it sounds, probably more magical than it sounds. Let me tell you what you are going to need. Okay, to paint with milk, or to paint on milk, more accurately, you're going to need, not surprisingly, milk. Best case scenario, whole milk, 2% will work. The skinnier your milk gets, the less the reaction will be. So go for the most full fat version of milk that you can get. You are also going to need dish soap, one of our favorite supplies in kitchen science world. And you will need some food coloring. Now, I have discovered that this does not work at all with gel food coloring. So you need the old school kind that you can get for very cheap at Fred Meyer. And last but not least, you will need some Q-tips. Now, if you don't happen to have Q-tips, you could use a paintbrush, or really, you could use anything. I mean, you could dip your finger if you wanted to, but Q-tips make it easy, and they make the cleanup a little bit easier. So, Q-tips. Really, that's all you need. Milk, dish soap, Q-tips, and I suppose, I'll show you, you want a plate or a bowl, and you want something that has a bit of a bowl quality if you get a plate. You want to be able to, put the milk in there and have a nice, even surface to play on. You ready? Let's do it. Okay, it's time to make some milk magic. Let's do it. First, I'm going to pour the milk into the plate. And I'm going to do this carefully because you don't want a whole bunch of bubbles. It's not a big deal if you have bubbles, but it just means you kind of have to wait for the surface to settle. So to avoid that, pour slow. So I'm going to pour, I got about a cup of milk here. As you know, if you watch these videos, I very much favor experiments that don't require precision, and this is an experiment that requires zero precision. So if you only have 3/4 of a cup of milk left in your fridge, grab a smaller plate and use 3/4 of a cup of milk. No need to use a cup. You could use 2 cups if you have a huge plate and you have 2 kids who want to play. Do what works for you. Okay, so we got our milk in our plate. I have put some dish soap into this just to make it easy to use. And now we get to do the colors. So I have 4 colors here. Usually food coloring comes in packs of 4, so I would recommend using all 4 colors. And you're going to start putting some little piles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Got some red, 10 dots of red going in. Going to put the cap back on the red. Then we will do some purple. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing for all 4 colors. We're just going to put a nice big splooge of color in there. Again, you do not need to be scientific about the number of drops because this is very much an art experiment or an art demonstration rather than hard science. There'll be some hard science, which I will share with you, but I just want to point out that you can have fun and you can put dots all over the place if you want to. You could, I'm sort of settling in, as you can see, on having a bunch of piles of color in the middle of my plate. You could put the piles of color on the outside of your plate. You could put 6 piles of each color all over the plate. You do you. Okay, there we go. I got lots of color. Can you see? I've got red, and I've got green, and I've got purple, and I've got blue. And now it's time to make the magic happen. Q-tip. Cover it in dish soap. Q-tip covered in dish soap. Ready? Here we go. Whoa! 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 Yeah, now I love Q-tips for this because now I can just cover up the other end and keep the experiment going. Keep just dotting it in places. Use another one if you need to, if you're feeling like your effect is stopping. You can kind of swirl it all around and you can make your milk dance. Now look at that beautiful tie-dyed milk you've got. You can make this, you can do this experiment over and over again in the same milk. You can add more color and you can keep dotting it with your dish soap, and the dish soap will keep reacting as long as there is milk to react with. You want to know what's happening here? Let's talk about some science. It's time for some science. It's time for some science. It's time for some science today. Okay, so what is happening here? We have milk. We put food coloring on top of it. Okay, so the food coloring just rests on top of the milk. When we introduce the soap, the dish soap, that's a surfactant. So it is designed, as you can imagine, because it's a dish soap, to break down grease and fat. So the dish soap wants to repel the fat in the milk. And so when you introduce the dish soap, the fats are running away. They are, they don't want to be near that dish soap because it's designed to break down the fat. So that's why you see the colors moving all around in the plate. So go forth, grab some more milk, and if you want to experiment even more or craft even more, if you want to experiment more, try this with whole milk, 2%, 1%, and skim, and see what differences you get. And you will get differences. Or if you want to craft with this, I love a craft, you can take paper, like watercolor paper, and you can put it into your tie-dyed milk and then pull it back out and then dry it. And you'll get a really cool looking marbled paper effect. So go forth, science and craft, and have fun in your kitchen. I will see you in a few weeks.